Well, Ken, thanks a lot for taking the time to speak with us tonight. I've explained to the audience that you are a longtime ufologist and also a STAR team member for MUFON, and you're in the New Jersey area. Is that correct?
Yeah, I live in Franklinville, New Jersey, which is southern New Jersey.
Southern New Jersey. Well, why don't you start off, Ken? Before we get to some of these sightings, why don't you tell us a little bit about your history, how you got involved in ufology and
Okay.
into MUFON and all that?
Yeah, I was basically raised in National Park, New Jersey. Now, National Park, New Jersey is directly across from the Philadelphia Naval Yard and the Philadelphia Airport. So I've been looking into the skies all my life, just watching the airplanes, and I became interested in astrology. And then it kind of went from there. I essentially had my first sighting in 1974. And yeah, I have some notes about it if you want me to, if you want to hear about my first sighting.
Well, let's hear a little bit about your history first, and then we'll go to the sightings.
Okay, very good. Yeah, so I've been interested in I was raised, I was born in 1950, and it seems like every other month they're coming out with a new flying saucer movie or a monster movie in them days. So, this is something that I've been very curious about all my life. I've had a couple sightings, and eventually I decided to join MUFON. I took their test and joined MUFON. I believe it was around August of 2005 when I joined and passed the test, and I started working for George Fowler. Now, I don't know if you know George or not, but he's an icon in the UFO community, with Fowler Files and a couple of his websites. I started working for George. Now, George lives in Medford, New Jersey. He's a retired Major George Fowler. He's been retired. As a matter of fact, I think he was chasing UFOs over England as a pilot back in the 50s, and I guess that's how he got started. So
Wow.
I started investigating for George, and it's funny because I was the only investigator that George had, even though he had, 5 or 6 people on the books that were supposed to be investigating for him. I was the only one that was actually really doing any investigations. So he threw me to the wolves, and I just started investigating, in around 2005 there in August. So I love it. I think it's just an incredible thing.
So when you joined MUFON in 2005, did you go directly into being an investigator, or did you, attend meetings for a while and then become an investigator? Because that's kind of what I'm doing right now. I just joined MUFON.
Okay.
What was your experience like taking the test and becoming an actual investigator? And then you went into being a STAR team member, right?
Yeah, after I got like about 100 cases under my belt. So George Fowler recommended me to be the for the STAR team, and so I essentially what I did in the Air Force. I was in the Air Force. I'm a Desert Storm veteran, and essentially what I did in the Air Force is I was an evaluator. I was in a section called SEQC, which is Self-Evaluation Quality Control. So what I did is I evaluated the squadron, evaluated the different sections to make sure that they were following all the Air Force regulations, and essentially we just evaluated the sections to make sure they were doing a good job. And if there was any, we also offered a lot of suggestions as to help their section run better for the Air Force, and with that experience I had, it was very easy for me to get into the UFO investigations.
Wow. So being a STAR team member, for people who don't know, that means that they call on you for the really hot sightings, right? Or the most interesting ones.
Oh yeah.
And basically you can be called out at any time, and they expect you to be on site, I guess ASAP, right?
This was all started by I have a brief history about Bigelow. He's the one who kind of started this whole thing, but of course the STAR team means Strike Team Area Research, and we're sent out on high profile cases, basically cases where people feel that they've been abducted, or if there's some kind of a physical presence of implants in them or something like that. These are the cases that we're going after because these seem to be the high-profile cases. I've been sent out to one. I was sent out to New London, Connecticut, a couple of years ago, and did some research for the STAR team, and that was a very interesting case itself.
Wow. I didn't know that that's what STAR team meant. Strike Team Area Research?
Correct.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I guess we can go ahead and talk about your sightings. Your first personal sighting was in 1974, is that right?
Yeah, it's an approximate date. Around 1974 was my first sighting. I was with a friend, and we were traveling home from a club there in South Jersey. It was about 2 o'clock in the morning, and we were heading home, and we just passed the Runnymede exit and went under the overpass at what was called the Aljo Circle on 295. Basically, it's the name of the section of 295 that everyone knows. Because there was a club called Aljo's, used to sit there, and the curve was so bad that you had to slow down because many people died, truck drivers, and as a matter of fact, a personal friend of mine died at the circle, so we slowed down. And as soon as we came out from the overpass, I looked up, and I saw a very large circular object in the sky, and it was just above the thin overcast. And I estimated the ceiling to be around maybe 300 feet. And the circular object glowed like a greenish blue or turquoise color, and it then disappeared into the overcast. And this shocked the hell out of me. I estimated the craft to be around maybe 200 feet in diameter, and the craft was heading in a northeast direction. It only lasted a couple seconds, but it's something that I'll always remember. And that night, me and my friend, we drove around for a few hours looking for this thing. We were excited. He didn't see it, but I did, and we were excited about spotting this thing because the area where I saw it, it's only about 6 miles from the Philadelphia International Airport. It's just inside the TCA terminal control area of Philadelphia International. I'm a private pilot, so I know all these terms.
So being so close to the airport, you don't think it was possible that it could have been some, U.S. craft of some sort?
Well, that was really the first thing that I thought, and so we drove around Deptford area for a few hours, and like I said, we didn't see anything. But the next day in the newspaper, in the Woodbury Times, there was an article about the strange object in the sky. There was a couple of policemen who saw the object. There was a bunch of witnesses who saw something. They basically saw the same thing I did. So that kind of confirmed to me that there's a possibility this thing was some kind of flying saucer just flying around.
So back to the description of this thing. It was round in shape, you say, or was it round in shape?
Circular craft, and it was just above a very thin overcast, and it was glowing. It was looked like a fluorescent, glowing turquoise, greenish blue color. It lasted a couple seconds, what I saw, and it just went back up into the overcast and disappeared. And there's no doubt about what I saw that night. That's for sure.
Wow. Now, some of these photos that you sent me, and I want to make sure we talk about your website as well, but this one in Ocean City back in 1956. Can we talk about that one?
Well, it's one of them shoebox photos that I found. The old shoebox album where you have the old Kodak photos in it. And just one day, a few years ago, I was going through the photos, looking at those old photos, and I noticed this, and I'm saying, "What the heck is that?"
So this is a family photo, because I have it up right now on the screen showing the folks. But this was a family photo?
Yeah, it's a family photo. Of the big guy is my father, Earl Pfeifer, and the two people in front of him is my aunt and uncle, Robert and Tessie, and we're the kids. We're probably the kids in the order there. And I got this analyzed by a couple people, supposedly, professional photographers, and they said that there's definitely something in the photo. But then again, I had a debunker tell me that he worked for the Navy back in World War II, and sometimes the old Kodak films used to leave a film, a residue on a picture, and I quite frankly I didn't believe him. So I've been dealing with debunkers for years now, and
Don't you love them? Don't you just love them?
I don't believe any of them. So.
Well, most of them don't come back with anything intelligent. That's
know.
the problem.
Oh yeah.
There's a few of them. So, but this was taken in Ocean City, New Jersey, 1956. So you were 6 years old, approximately.
Yes, it was.
And for the folks watching right now, it's circled. Now, it is at the end of that cloud line.
Yeah.
And it seems to be a dark, what would be kind of a flat oval type of shape.
A car shape, or maybe just a disc shape on its side, possibly. I don't really know. I really don't know if that's a UFO or not, to be honest with you.
Yeah, strange photo.
Yeah, that kind of got me started on this whole thing. Like, holy smokes, I'm imagining to myself how many thousands of people out there have strange photos like this, and they really don't even realize what they are or could be.
Exactly. And we've talked a lot about this on the show over the weeks, Ken. Is this whole thing with how your mind and your eyes, your brain and your eyes work, and you see these shapes in pictures, and your mind tries to make something understandable out of it. So sometimes it's really hard to tell if these things are real or not. Now you've got some other photos here that are just completely bizarre, and when we get to those, I don't see how anybody could say these aren't something.
You must be talking about the Bridgeton, New Jersey photos there. It looks like two light bars with something in the middle there. Yeah, that was a case if that's the one you're talking about. That's
let's look at that one. I'm going to pull it up on the screen right now.
Yeah, it should be either P2, P3, or P4, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
Now the first one is kind of in the distance there. And they look like two gold light bars. Now, did you take these pictures?
No, the witness did.
Oh.
There's a story behind that too, because this is the second sighting he had approximately about maybe 10 months earlier. See, this gentleman, he is a amateur astronomer.
Okay.
So in his backyard, this is in the area of Bridgeton, Alloway Township in southern New Jersey. So we have very little light pollution, so the sky is very, very clear in that area. And he decided he would take pictures of the planets, and he was really into the astronomy with the expensive equipment and cameras. And he was out there one night, and he had an object, a triangle, very large triangle, came right over his house. As a matter of fact, what I can do, I can read you. Let me see. I think I have his witness statement as to what he saw. Let me pull that up here real quick. But what he did was, he saw this, and he said this black triangle was humongous. It moved very, very slowly, and it went directly right over his head. And
man,
he was shaken by this. He was afraid to go outside for a couple months to his observatory, because he was afraid this was going to happen again to him. And he said, as a matter of fact, there were some lights that were on the craft, and he also feels that he observed some I don't want to use the word beings, but people, I guess, inside this craft. And the strange thing about it was there was a very large black box that hung from under this large triangle. It reminded me. He said it kind of reminded him of a very large black dumpster.
Hmm.
So this was very confusing to both of us, and we basically came to the conclusion that there's a possibility that this craft was looking for animals, because there's a lot of horse farms, cows, all over the area there, and we kind of that was the only conclusion we can really come was they were looking for animals, and because of this sighting, as a matter of fact, he became an investigator at MUFON. So he took the test. Now he's very interested in the subject. This was the first thing he's ever seen, and he decided to. He became an investigator.
Well, when I first look at these pictures, the first thing that comes to mind is that it was taken as like a slow exposure.
Yeah.
But then if you look at the other lights in the sky, that's not true. I mean, I don't think so, right? I think this was not taken at a super slow exposure where the lights would streak across because the exposure was so slow. This was
exactly.
a regular snapshot. Now, of course, this appears to be a newer photo. Was this a digital photo? Do you know?
Yes, it was. Yeah, it was a very high detail. It was many pixels with this photo. And as a matter of fact, if you blow that picture up, you can probably get even a better thing. As a matter of fact, I think I may have sent you a cropped image of that photo. That might be P4. I think. Yeah, that's it right there. P4 is the image.
Yeah,
and,
I've got that one up right now.
Yeah. Now this sighting happened in September 24th of '07. He said that the sky was brightly lit due to the moon, and it was approximately 11 p.m. And he was outside with his digital camera. And I'm reading his statement. It says, "I had nothing special in mind, but due to the bizarre experience I had last October 2006, this experience has been recorded on the MUFON website. I always keep a camera on hand when I'm out at night. A bright light again caught my eye, and I observed this rectangular-shaped light begin to rise slowly behind a tree in the south, approximately 1 mile away. The object appeared to hover for about 20 seconds and then began to travel west at a very low speed. As it began moving west, it seemed to pivot on both the vertical and horizontal axis, revealing more detail until it disappeared behind a tree. I captured this object with my digital, and the pictures came out surprisingly well. I use a Canon 20D-A, which I use for my astrophotography. And, it just says he's transferred the image to a disc. So, this was his second sighting. And, I investigated this for a few months, and essentially what I had to do, like I said, is a very rural area. I was basically, going door to door, knocking on doors. And the very strange thing about it, even he went to his neighbors and asked them. Hey, he was fairly new in the neighborhood. He only moved there. I think he was maybe there 6 months before he had these sightings. And basically, even with myself, the neighbors were basically rude. They would like turn around and walk away. They wouldn't even answer your questions. Have you seen anything strange in the skies lately? And it was very, very strange that these people just didn't want to talk about anything.
Now, has he experienced anything else since then? Do you know of?
He hasn't reported it. So, as a matter of fact, I think this investigator he's not investigating it anymore. From last I heard, he was going to move to Delaware or something, but. I haven't heard from him, and quite frankly, I'm not really sure if he's still located at his residence in the Bridgeton area.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just an amazing photo.
Yeah, he was shaken by the whole experience. That's for sure. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I thought that was one of the best photos, and it just kind of got me interested in. I was sick and tired of going to a dozen different websites looking for photos. I'm the kind of guy I'm a show me kind of guy.
Right.
You show me a picture and picture says 1,000 words, and I was frankly tired of going to all these websites and not finding any photos. And the photos that I did find, they were either very blurry or they were dots on a picture or they were very old photos. And so I decided to put all these photos on one website, and that's how my World UFO Photos website started.
Yeah. Now, how long have you had this website going?
I have a couple of years now. I'm going on I believe my third year. I have roughly, I think there's about 4,000 on there right now, and I'm sitting on roughly 3,000 or 4,000 right now that I haven't even posted yet. So I'm not going to post them all at one time. I like to post 3 or 4 a day, and keep the interest going. But it's from what I understand, it's the largest in the world of UFO photos.
I've got your web banner up right now, but just in case people are just listening, it's worldufophotos.org.
Correct.
UFOphotos.org.
.org. Yeah, you just Google UFO photos, and a million things will come up. And my other website, I have another website that I put my articles on. As a matter of fact, I believe I send them to you, and that's the World UFO Photos and News.org. So that's the other website I have that's basically showing a lot of the UFO sightings from around the world, essentially.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, where are you? Are you securing these photos from the MUFON CMS system, or are you just going out and gathering them up, or?
Well, at this point in time, I'm having people sending me their photos.
Oh, really?
That's what I did. I went through it took me a very long time to do, very time consuming. I essentially cannibalized MUFON's archives, the ones I could find, and I took out the pictures that I felt were possibly something, with the case files and statements and everything, and I just decided to essentially post the pictures. I got a lot of them from Billy Booth. I really like the UFO Casebook website. Billy Booth has been very helpful, and I've taken a lot of pictures from Billy Booth's website there, and I'm just getting pictures from all over the world. And people are sending me pictures now. It's some incredible pictures that these are sightings they've had. Some of them report their sightings, and some of them don't, and some of them are afraid to. And quite frankly, I don't think people really know where to go. I know the name MUFON. You know the name MUFON. I'm sure there's a lot of people in the audience who knows the name MUFON, but there's thousands, possibly millions out there that you say MUFON, and they look at you strangely like, what's MUFON?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Billy Booth, wasn't he like a child television star or something? Or is that somebody else? That's not the same Billy Booth, huh?
No, I think Billy Booth, I think he was I was told, I email a lot of these guys back and forth. I believe Billy Booth was a landscaper at one time, but his UFO Casebook, I feel that he's got one of the best out there. It's incredible things that he has. And as a matter of fact, he's publishing some of my articles that I send out to everyone. So it's kind of confusing to me, because I've always wondered why the larger organizations like MUFON, why they don't have photo galleries of UFO photos. It's kind of like being a member of the Audubon Society and having a big website and not having any photos of birds.
Yeah. I've never thought about that, actually. I don't know whether they do it for anonymity, or, but I guess if you didn't put the person's name on there would be really no problem. Maybe they just don't have the people that
between you and me, and I guess the audience out there, I think there's a lot of these UFO organizations are debunkers hiding in plain sight.
Wait. Say that again now?
I think a lot of these UFO organizations out there are debunkers hiding in plain sight.
Yeah? Like, what do you mean?
Yep. Well, I think that a lot of these organizations, they do take the cases and they take the case files, and nothing really happens with them, even some incredible photos. And somehow these photos aren't published on their websites, and you just never see them anymore. So, I really think that a lot of these people are purposely trying to bury this stuff.
Well, I did have a question come into the show way back when we first started, and the question was, why doesn't MUFON have people that go back and search through the archives and try to, I guess, stir up some cold cases or whatever? But kind of the same thing of what you're saying. I mean, there must be tons of information.
You wouldn't believe the information that's buried right now that no one knows about.
I have never even had the chance to go out on CMS yet, which is MUFON's database, right?
Yeah.
But just there must be tons and tons of information.
Well, here's how I feel about the whole thing. I don't mean to slam MUFON. I love MUFON. I think MUFON is a wonderful organization. However, I think they have too many debunkers in high-level positions in MUFON right now, and I think that they are essentially holding MUFON back from doing what it should be doing, and that's investigating UFO sightings.
Is that right? Now the other big organization is the National UFO Reporting Center.
Yeah, Peter Davenport, I think, isn't it?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I believe it's Peter Davenport. That's another, I don't want to slam Peter Davenport, but that's another, he doesn't have a photo gallery on his website. And this baffles me. I don't know what to think of it.
That's just a really interesting question you've brought up, because maybe they feel like they would get too much people, these skeptics and stuff writing in and causing problems, or, saying stuff about these photos, how fake they are and all that kind of stuff. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know why they do it or why they don't do it.
I don't. The only thing that, like I said, the only thing that I could come up with is, I think these people, for some reason, are purposely trying to hide this information.
I wonder if this question has ever been asked, like at a large national level MUFON meeting or something like that.
Well, I don't know. I think they know me as Kenneth the Menace, because I'm always, I started MUFON when John Schuessler, I believe his name was there, and then James Carrion came and Clifford Cliff came. Now we have a new director, Dave McDonald. We've had 4 directors in the last 6 years. I mean, to me, that's saying something right there. I just don't understand what's going on. And as a matter of fact, since you are now a MUFON investigator, have you received a journal?
No. I am a member now. I have not taken my test to be an investigator. That's my next step.
Now, as a member, are you getting the MUFON journal?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what I want you to do is look at the back of the journal and see which states, what the ratings are in the states, and you'll see that there is a couple people who have many states who basically do nothing. I mean, the ratings are so low, and I've complained to MUFON many times. I'm, a thorn in their side many days, and I asked them why, and I basically get no response. And just looking at the ratings at the back of the MUFON journal with the states, and of course New Jersey is 100% because I'm chief investigator with New Jersey.
Now, when you say ratings, what are we talking about? Ratings of what?
Well, let's say that 40 cases came in, and you only finished 20 of them. You'd only have like a 50% rating.
Oh, okay, of completed investigations.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a lot of very, very, very low numbers there, and they've been that way for a very, very, very long time, and I don't know why.
Now, does that rating mean they've been fully investigated and closed, or does that mean they were responded to, that rating, just responded to?
I think the basic rating, the rating essentially means that the possibility that the witness was never contacted, because MUFON, I believe they give you like 72 hours to contact the witness. And then once you contact the witness, I think they give you, I believe it's like 90 days to complete an investigation. You know, I don't do it that way in New Jersey. I mean, if I can't contact a witness in 2 weeks, I'm closing the case out. And they just give you so much time to do it, and a lot of these numbers mean that a lot of these witnesses have never been contacted.
Well, you know, I think in any type of volunteer organization, which MUFON is, people get all jazzed up and they sign up and they want to do this, they want to do that. And then once they get there, they peter out and they're not doing what they're supposed to do. I'm sure it's hard to get people that are as gun-ho as, say, you are. Maybe they are for a little while and then they get tired of it.
Well, I'll tell you what. If once you get into the CMS system, what I want with MUFON, what I'd like you to do is, you should be able to go into cases from all over the world, essentially, especially the United States, and review some of these cases. You can go on there, especially the cases that say IFO, Identified Flying Object. I've reviewed a lot of these cases myself from other states, and I'm saying to myself, how in the hell could they have classified this as an IFO, Identified Flying Object? I mean, I hate, like you said, it's all volunteer, and there's a problem with trying to weed out the people who either don't know what they're doing, or they come in here, they come to MUFON and start investigating with their own agenda. And I think that's a big, because it's just MUFON statistics, I believe it's like 7 to 10%. They say that between 7 and 10% of all of the sightings that we receive are, only 7 to 10% are unexplained.
Right.
Well, quite frankly, I think that number should be like 30 to 40% and possibly higher. They're not explained.
Well, yeah, on these reports, when they say identified, is there sufficient notes telling how they identified this?
Well, it really all depends on who's doing the investigation. Sometimes there's no notes at all. Sometimes you see what it boils down to is a lot of the investigators are guessing what the witness saw, and you can't guess. You can't say that, the witness probably saw a satellite. The witness saw this picture looks like it's probably a bird. Or, this is the kind of investigation that seems to be going on in MUFON right now.
Well, I tell you,
it can't be that way.
I just think, a lot of it has to do with the quality of people that the organization is getting.
Right. No, you're right. I feel as it is a MUFON's fault, because it's almost impossible to check into this every day to see who's doing a good job and what investigator is possibly a debunker. As a matter of fact, I got a debunker fired from New Jersey MUFON a couple of years ago, because this person, I started looking into this person's investigations, and I'm saying, no way. I started reinvestigating a lot of these cases that this person had, and come to find out that they weren't even calling the witness, or they were just writing things off as it was the International Space Station flying over during the day, which you can't see the ISS during the day, and so it was, I got rid of that person. But we need MUFON to have someone that can check into what these people are doing and what the state directors are doing, and they need to reorganize. And like I said, I love MUFON. I'll probably get fired for this, but quite frankly, I don't care. but we need to reorganize and do something about this.
Well, I was talking to Karen Dolan last week, Richard Dolan's wife.
Oh, sure.
And we talked about how there are really no standards uh, in this whole UFO investigation
Right. You're right.
arena, right?
Yeah.
I work in the data communications world, and my God, we have so many standards; it's ridiculous. Uh, but you know, we're going to have some standards in this UFO community because people are talking apples and oranges, and we're never going to get anywhere. Uh,
Well,
that's just my viewpoint on it.
yeah. Well, the main thing that makes me kind of curious about MUFON is, let's face it, MUFON's been in existence since 1968, after Project Blue Book closed, and 40 years later, is that all there is? I mean, they seem to be going backwards. In my eyes, anyway, because like I said, the investigations. People or the investigators are guessing. They're guessing, and they're writing everything off as identified flying object, a satellite or a plane, or I think the person possibly saw a helicopter. So we're going to classify this as an identified flying object, and I think the burden of proof is on the investigators and not the witness.
But don't you have to lean towards identified unless you have some really good evidence? I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. And so, I mean, let's just say an investigator goes out, meets with a couple who says they saw this or that. All he can go by is their description.
Right.
Right. And Karen Dolan had brought this up. One of the biggest problems is these sightings are not repeatable. We can't go back and run them again, right?
Right. Correct.
So tell us a little bit about when you go out to do an investigation. What types of things do you do to try to extract the information you feel is important from a witness?
Well, as you probably know, I would say that 95% of all of our investigations are done over the phone.
Okay.
Now, if someone has a crop circle in the backyard, or someone feels that they were abducted, I've been involved in a couple of abduction cases, and they were quite startling with the hypnosis and everything else. That's another story at another time, but. Well, we basically have to go by what the witness says they saw, because let's face it, people see airplanes and helicopters and lights every day, and when someone calls in or someone contacts MUFON or any UFO organization and reports a UFO, let's face it, everybody, UFO is flying saucer,
right?
Or an alien craft, even though it means unidentified flying object. We all know what UFO essentially means.
Right.
When people call in and want to report a UFO, they feel that they've really seen something, and I think that a lot of times the investigator doesn't really read the witness statement. All they're doing is coming up with some kind of conclusion in their mind that they must have seen a meteor, or it was probably the International Space Station flying over, or it was probably Venus and Jupiter, which has been causing problems with us for the last month here. But they're not really investigating the cases. And what I try to do, of course, is of course there's a ton of websites to go to make sure it wasn't a meteor sighting, or we also have a website for to track satellites to go over, but. It seems that a lot of these sightings really has nothing to do with that. It's orange orbs in the sky, and of course, a lot of investigators they hear orange orbs and automatically they think it's Chinese lanterns. Well, you can't do that.
Right.
That seems to be the problem. They're making calls that when they have no really evidence as to what it was.
Well, I mean, as a MUFON investigator, pretty much like a detective, like a law enforcement detective. And there are good detectives and not so good detectives. Uh, I'm just wondering, uh, basically to be an investigator, uh, you have to read a little book
Right.
and take a little test, and you're considered an investigator. Um, no formal training, nothing like that. So I'm sure the number of good investigators is really hit and miss. I mean,
You're right. Yeah.
I'm sure everybody thinks they're a good investigator, but without proper training, um, most people probably aren't. Don't know the right things to ask, don't know
Yeah,
how to link things up. Yeah.
exactly. Well, it's kind of like I said. I'm not pointing a finger at MUFON, but I think they need to get a better system if they want to stay in this business. Because quite frankly, I think we're at a very exciting time in the history of the world right now. Where who's to say that disclosure doesn't happen in a couple of years from now?
Well, what's your thoughts on that? Because we've had a lot of people on over the weeks, asking that question or being asked that question. Some people think that it'll never happen. Some people think that the government is slowly, very slowly, doling out a little bit of information here and there.
Yeah.
Uh, but to flat out, you know, say, you know, America, we are not alone. I just don't know if it'll ever happen. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think eventually it's going to have to happen because there seems to be so much evidence that, as a matter of fact, the mainstream media right now, you're starting to see more UFO reports on the on television, on TV, and with all these documentaries they have about UFOs and everything else. Quite frankly, I think that this Earth has been here for billion years, and we've had 1,000 different civilizations that have come and gone over these billion years, and the question is when is it going to be our time to go?
Right.
Because they're still digging things up, in Peru, and as a matter of fact, I think they just discovered some kind of a very large, one of the largest pyramids in the world, and I believe it was Bosnia, if I'm not mistaken. So they're finding things every day, and I think eventually someone's going to have to admit that there's something out there. But then again, I could see the repercussions if people be jumping out of windows.
Yeah, I do think it'd be a big impact
Right.
to civilization, especially on the religious front.
Oh yeah.
Totally break
Don't
down.
get me started on religion.
Yeah, me neither.
That's another subject.
Yeah, yeah. You sound like you're probably like me on that. Um, the fact that we are seeing a lot more UFO related TV shows on, I think is good. It's getting people more open to discussing the
Yeah.
topic. I know it has me. Um, I kind of got all jazzed up when I saw the Phoenix Lights documentary. That's what kind of got me all started. And there's a case that has never been truly solved. And I don't know how much you know about that Phoenix Lights, but come on, something happened there.
Oh yeah, that was an incredible case. That's for sure.
And when you have governors of the state coming out and saying, yeah, I saw it. Come on, what more? What more do you need? I don't know.
You're right. That's right.
We had one more photo here, a couple more.
Yeah.
Uh, Picture number 5. I'm going to pull that up. I'm not sure exactly what that one is. Wood.
That's my wife. My wife had a sighting, a triangle sighting in Woodstown. As a matter of fact, I can kind of read you what that was all about.
Okay, so the graphic that I have right up here now is not a photo. It's It's a drawing, and this is a drawing that you're a drawing of what your wife reported seeing.
Yeah, she was coming home from a hairdresser's in Pennsville, New Jersey, and of course, she's being married to me. She's been taught to look up in the sky at all hours of the day. So, she was traveling south on Route 40 there, going towards a place called Pole Tavern near Woodstown, and she noticed a strange black triangle in the sky, and she pulled to the side of the road and did better. And it hovered over the tree line, which was a short distance from her car. And then she noticed the object from the driver's side of the car. She was looking at it with the windows down, so there was no noise, no movement. It just hovered there. And on the other side of the triangle, it was lit up with lights that were bright but not blinding. So she drew this up for me, and we submitted this to MUFON, and we really could. This happened about 9 o'clock at night. And as a matter of fact, with about 3 or 4 months prior to that, we had quite a few sightings in that area with black triangles. And one of the gentlemen who saw the triangle also became a investigator with MUFON.
It's amazing how these sightings get people to become very interested, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
So now this is not like a solid triangle. This is more of a V-shaped craft. Is that correct?
Yes. That's what she felt. She said she really couldn't tell whether the middle was filled in or not. So there's a possibility that could have been a regular triangle type craft, but she couldn't swear to it, so we basically drew it up as to what she saw. So she was she's a pretty good observer, and she had another sighting a few months later than that, just a light in the sky there in the Mulligan Hill, but that's another story. But she's pretty observant that way.
And let's look at this courthouse photo. Now this is a little hard to see here. Now this looks like there's an airplane to the upper right with some vapor trails or something. And then down on the lower left, there is, I don't know what that is, but what's the story behind this photo, Ken?
Well, basically, that was a photo that I got by mistake. Because we were at the courthouse. We went to the Cape May Zoo that day with my grandson. And we were visiting the Cape May Zoo there, and it's Cape May Courthouse area, South Jersey, and with my wife and grandson. And we were in the process of eating lunch at one of the picnic tables, and I looked up and saw a large plane flying over, and I noticed a flash of light. So essentially, I saw this plane. I would say the altitude of the plane was approximately maybe about 3,000, 4,000 feet, and flying in a northeast direction. And beside the plane was a silver-like cylinder. It was flying alongside the airplane. And first I thought it was a military plane and it was possibly being escorted by a military jet, but the object had no wings. And it was shadowing a large commercial jet towards the rear of the plane, and the object's distance from the plane looked to be about a full wingspan. So I could see the sun reflecting off the cylinder, and I managed to finally take a few photos, but the photos show that I didn't capture the object because of, well, that's another thing that kills me. Today's digital cameras, you really can't see what you're taking a picture of through them little screens.
Right.
I mean, essentially, you just have to point these things and hoping you're going to get a picture. So that's what I did. I wasn't, me being an investigator, you think I'd be prepared, but this came upon so quickly. I hollered to my wife, "Give me your camera," and I bought her a Newman Ultra, a digital. You can even look through the eyepiece there and see what you're looking at, and I still had a hard time picking up this object in plane. So I just started snapping pictures up at the sky. And what I basically caught, what this picture is, I didn't see this. I mean, this is something that came on my photos that was possibly there, along with the aircraft that had the cylinder next to it. So I have no idea what it is.
Oh, okay. So you were trying to get an object that was next to the aircraft,
Yeah.
which is the white streak or that white line up there in the upper right,
Yeah.
and then by accident you caught the image or the whatever that is down on the lower left.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because that object that you see in the photo, I never saw that. I mean,
Oh.
at this point, I'm just taking pictures into the sky because, like I said, you can't see through these screens. You have no idea what you're taking pictures of. And this is what came out. This was something that I caught by mistake, essentially.
Yeah,
So
either you were so focused on the other object that you didn't see it, or that it was going so fast and maybe you just caught it with a shutter. I'm not sure, but very strange.
Yeah, that was a strange sighting I had. That's for sure. That's the latest one I had.
Ken, tell me something. We see all of these different types of UFOs. We have the orbs, we have the triangles, we have the V-shaped, we have the cigar shape, and we have the classic saucer shape. What's your thoughts on that? Do you feel that there are several, or could be several different, I don't know what you would call them, entities,
Styles?
yeah, or civilizations, and they each have their own style of craft, or is it the same, entities that have all these different types? Are they shape-shifting, or what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I just think personally, I believe there's different civilizations trying to visit in the Earth here, and they have their own type of craft. It's like comparing a Corvette to a Volkswagen.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's they have different shapes, and there's a possibility that some of these orbs that we are seeing possibly could be some kind of a drone, some kind of something that is sent out from the main ship itself. It's something to. It's really hard to say. It's there's so many different types. Like with the triangles, like a lot of people are saying that these things are military experimental aircraft, and quite frankly, they could be true, but I don't think all of them are. I think some of these things that we see are experimental aircraft from the military, but not all of them are. That's for sure. There's some incredible photos out there that it really makes you think about it.
Well, listen, we're getting kind of low on time here, because didn't you say you had a story about Area 51?
Yeah, me and my wife, as a matter of fact, we went out to Area 51 in April of 2006. We were celebrating our 30th wedding anniversary. So we got married again at the top of the stratosphere, and we stayed at the Luxor for 7 days, had a great time. So we had a couple days to kill towards the end. So I says, hey, I came here planning on going to Area 51. So let's do it. So we did. We went out there. I did my research. I knew where the front gate was on Area 51, but I wanted to go to the back gate because from what I understood at that point, you would get a lot of problems going to the front gate. There's a possibility that they'd come at you with their guns and give you a hard time. So I said, let's go to the back gate. So we found a place. We found, as a matter of fact, we went to the Alley Inn there. You've seen that on TV 1,000 times.
Yes.
Right there in Rachel, Nevada, I believe. So we went inside and talked to the lady, and she essentially told me that the back gate of Area 51 was a quarter mile down the road on the right. So
is that the one with the little mailbox on the dirt road?
No, that's more towards the main. That's more towards the front gate.
Oh.
No. We were further back in Rachel, Nevada, and there's a back gate there. And when we found the road, it's a very, very, very wide road, maintained gravel road, and essentially we were about 5 miles into our adventure, and all of a sudden something very loud. Was ear-shattering noise, a very high-pitched, wavering kind of a sound. I don't know if it went over the car or what, but our first reaction was to dive in our seats and wondered what the heck this thing was, and we I stopped the car at that point, and after a couple of minutes, I was brave enough to get out of the car and look around, and we didn't see a darn thing. It was the strangest thing that I've ever experienced, and so we continued our trip to the back gate. We did find the back gate of Area 51, and of course I took a ton of photos of all the signs that said "Don't take photos." But no, that was just incredible. I have no idea what we experienced, but that's something I'll never forget.
I still want to do that. I want to take a trip up the extraterrestrial highway there. Do a Las Vegas trip and then drive the extraterrestrial highway at night. And
well, I want to run something by you here. I've mentioned to a couple people. I was very disappointed when Ventura didn't cross the line at the front gate of Area 51. I'd be more than willing to walk across that line, because, quite frankly, I don't think they're going to come out and shoot you. But it just kills me how they have all these documentaries of a front gate of Area 51, and everybody's afraid to walk across the path, the little line that says, do not cross this path, or we'll use force or whatever.
Including death, including death.
I'd be more than willing to walk across that line. That's a no-brainer to me. I don't think anybody's going to come out and shoot you.
I don't think so, but you know what? I think they'd probably give you a pretty bad day. They'd probably make you have a very bad day. I don't know if I'd want to do that.
For a couple of days at least, anyway.
Just to say you did it, I guess.
That's funny.
Well, listen, we just got a couple more minutes here, Ken, but I want to give you a chance to talk about your new book. And I want to bring up the picture on that.
Okay.
So the book is called what?
UFOs, Believers, and Debunkers.
Okay. How long have you been working on this book?
I've been working on it for a couple of months. I'm hoping by December, before the end of the world, I'm hoping that I should have it published by then. That's another story, but. No, I'm excited about it, and UFOs, Believers, and Debunkers. I'm hoping it's going to be out by December, and so we'll take it from there. I'm going to be basically writing about some. I feel the Washington D.C. UFO flap in 1952, needs to be reevaluated and reinvestigated. That's for sure. So I'll be writing about a lot of different things in my book, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be good.
Well, it sure sounds you have enough experience and knowledge to put together a good book, so I'll be waiting for that to come out.
Sounds good.
Well, listen, Ken, it's been a great conversation with you tonight. Definitely want to stay in touch, and I'm going to look into the CMS files and, like you said, check out some of these reports that say IFO, and we'll see just how much energy they put into actually solving the case one way or another.
Yeah, check that out. Yeah, it's an honor to be on Topic UFO. And Rick, I want to thank you for everything.
You got it, man. Have a good evening.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Well, that was a good conversation. He definitely has a lot of experience. And I don't know, crossing the line there at Area 51, don't know if I would do that. They may not shoot you, but would not be a good time. I do not think.